Did you know that if the police effectively frame you for a crime and then the entire thing goes away, they don't actually go forward with it, you couldn't up until very recently actually sue them for that. That has changed, thankfully, and I want to walk you through the case that helped to change. It involved a man named Larry Thompson, who was arrested after a relative called 911 and claimed that Thompson was sexually abusing his newborn daughter. The police arrived, there was a scuffle, they barged in. They did an analysis, by the way, of the kid and found out the only marks on the child turned out to be diaper rash. And apparently the relative who called 911 had been suffering from a mental illness according to court records. So despite the fact that that was established, Thompson ended up being charged with resisting arrest. He was kept in jail for 2 days despite being innocent of the claim that led the cops to go there in the first place. So after 2 days, the prosecutor dropped the charges. The judge dismissed the case, both without explanation. Now, based on his experience, Thompson decided to sue, claiming malicious prosecution and violation of his constitutional rights. And he prevailed, but only after the US Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit ruled that such a claim can succeed only when a case ends with some affirmative indication of innocence. So that was what they claimed. That was then appealed, but that's generally how this goes. If they just make it disappear, you then do not have the standing to actually sue them, despite potentially a long stay in prison, the negative effect on your reputation, damage done to your home, all of that. And so up until recently, they could frame people, file bogus charges, conjure evidence out of thin air. And then as long as they hit the reset button, that was it, no lawsuit. So thankfully, the Supreme Court has now made it easier to sue police and the government for malicious prosecution. I have to say, I'm actually fairly shocked, Morgan, to get good news coming out of the Supreme Court. Notably, Alito, Gorsuch, and Clarence Thomas were in the minority on this, but hey, we got Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, so that's good news in America. What do you think?
Yeah, I am also very surprised to hear this, and I agree. And it's a word I've already mentioned in the show, but accountability. There needs to be accountability, and especially with folks who do have a lot of power and the ability to impact folks' lives. In some instances, as we see here, very negatively. We need to make sure that the incentives are in place to ensure that people are using that power very judiciously and not unnecessarily harming folks. Make sure they have full information or as much information as possible. So yeah, I am also shocked, and this does seem like a good development.
Exactly, yeah. And everyone, bear in mind, the lawsuit then still has to go forward. You still have to prove the merits of the case and everything. This is not like automatic win or anything, but you should be able to engage with the justice. If you feel that there has been something unjust done to you, you should be able to go forward with it. And this is not the same as, there's a lot of ways that cops are still protected from lawsuits, from charges. That has not yet changed, it needs to, but this perhaps indicates a willingness to look into these again, even with as right-wing a court as we have. Maybe we'll see if they'll go farther than this.
Yeah, it's a good point to clarify that, right? This would just be the beginning of the pursuit of accountability. But this is also why when we look at other issues around accountability in this area, I support qualified immunity, for example. I mean, it's just making sure that the law applies fairly to everyone is one of the foundational principles of our country. And so yeah, this is a good development, but much more also needed to ensure full justice, when necessary.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.